All right, so again, we are continuing on from where we left off yesterday. We have gone and right underneath our blog folder, we created a new test.js file. And the first thing we're going to do is, again, include mongoose. All right. And we also want to be able to get to our blog posts. So we're going to say const blog post equal require and then we'll connect. Now again, I'm expecting that what you are doing right now is you are using the same names that I used when we were doing this yesterday, okay? All right, and again, it's recommended, because sometimes it seems to work and sometimes it doesn't, that we also put the default port number in there, which is 27017. All right. Questions on any of that stuff? I mean, that should be just kind of some review, to be honest with you. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to create a couple of blog posts. You can put anything you want in these. These are just tests, okay? So what I put in here is really and truly not much. But blog post, oops, dot, and you notice when I say dot, try it again. Blog post dot create. All right. So the IntelliSense, it took a while, but it picked it up. All right. And what are we going to create? Well, we're going to come in here, and we're basically, for lack of better words, we're creating a JSON object in here that has a title in it, and it has a body in it. All right. So for the title, again, I wasn't real original here. I said title of, put it all those in caps, of my first blog post. And then for the body, I put body of my first blog post. Okay, now one thing about this, if you just everybody stop for a second. When you do this, this is not complete the way it is, because what happens is right here, it's possible, if this works, it's going to return us a blog post. And if it doesn't work, it's going to return us an error. All right, so we're going to come into here. I'm going to actually put that on a separate line now. And I'm going to come in here and do this. I'm going to, whoops, not that. Try that again. There we go. So I'm going to put in here comma. And then again, we can have either an error or we get blog post. So, if it worked, we're going to get that. All right. Now, if it's an error, we're just not going to do anything. This is a test file, so I don't really care. All right. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to say console.log error and blog post. Just like that. And you don't have to do it, but I'm going to make it line up like little soldiers. There. All right. And in fact, that's such a good blog post that I'm going to copy every single bit of it. And I'm going to put it in right underneath. But I'm going to change this one from my first blog post to my second blog post. All right, and this will say body of my second blog post. But other than that, it's virtually the same as what we had. All right? Any questions? So remember, this is the create. This is as though we are going in, if we were using a GUI, for example, and that's what we'll have hopefully by the end of the period today, but we're manually going in and creating these. All right. Now, I've already got a whole bunch of records in here because I was playing with it this morning. I don't want you to necessarily do this, but just so I can show you the new ones, I'm going to put in JPS dash my initials. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing it because I want you to be able to see the difference, you know, that indeed I added these. All right. Okay, so now I've got all that stuff. I'm going to save. And now when I come in here, I don't want to do an npm run dev because it's going to run index. I don't want to run index. I also don't want to take the time to go in to my package.json file and make another one for this. So I'm not going to use node mod with this. So it's going to be a pain in the butt because we'll turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. But I'm going to say here, node test.js. All right, not sure why it's hanging, but it's hanging. I'll have to go back and look. There we go. All right, let's give me an error. Okay, so it says here, log post, insert one, buffer timed out. It doesn't like something. Well, I ran every one of these because there's already stuff in here, and it all works. So let me check and see if I made some errors. I don't think I did. Mongoose equal require mongoose. Blog post equals require blog post. Mongoose.connect, MongoDB localhost, MongoDB, blog post.create, title, body, error, blog post, constant log, error, blog post. Boy, I wish I had done something different now, but I didn't.
Some of your blog posts are all lowercase.
That doesn't matter.
I don't. Okay, yeah.
You mean the text in here?
No, not in there. On the CERR, comma, blog post.
Right, this is just what I'm calling it in here.
Okay.
All right? This is the name of my collection. So I'm telling it to create it in that collection named blog post. All right? Now, just because I want you to see this, and I want you to do it too, now you can go back to this. And I don't know if you ran yours or not, and if you ran yours, if yours worked, or if you got an error. But just to show you, if I come in here and I type in show DBs, and I hit enter, notice one of my databases in here is BlogDB. All right, and if I say use BlogDB, and I come in now and I say show collections, well, there's blog posts. So it got created. And if I do a db dot blog posts dot find, you can see I've got a bunch of stuff in there. Now, it didn't just work for some reason with what I just did, but it worked fine this morning when I did it. See if we can figure out what it is. All right. Now, one thing is, rather than create, all right, let's see if we can come in here and change these creates. You don't have to do this until I see whether or not it works. To an insert, to an insert one. All right, so I'm going to try changing both of these creates to insert one. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to clear and try it again. Still doesn't like something. Blog post.insert one is not a function. Let's double check. Someplace in here, there it is. Did you try it? If you didn't try it and see if yours works or if you get an error.
I didn't get an error, just it gave me everything.
Good. It may be because I'd already done creates earlier. I don't know. All right. So, see, notice there is an insert one. Didn't like it, but there it is to insert a single document in. All right. Don't know why it didn't like that, but it didn't. All right. To see if yours works, go back and do the same stuff that I did. In other words, in your Mongo shell here, type in show DBs and see if you've got the blog DB. All right? Then if you do, type in use blog DB to make it active, and then type in show collections and see if you've got a blog post in there. If you've got that, then type in db.blogpost.find paren and see if it put in your 2 records. We're eventually going to get rid of all this stuff anyway, so it's no big thing, one way or the other. So put in this one if you've gone and done all the other stuff. Did it show anything, or was it empty?
Yeah, it gave me everything.
It gave you everything. Yours is empty.
Return blog DB.
Didn't show you anything?
Nope.
Okay. Which is weird. Why would it work for somebody and not for somebody else? Good question, Jeff. I don't know the answer, though.
Make sure it's blog posts instead of blog post. That's the mistake I made. That gave me nothing.
Yeah, no, I did.
I'm not sure.
I think I did that.
Because he
You're
created
saying
this.
plural, right? Like
Yeah.
blog posts. Okay. No, I did that. I still have blog DB. Thanks.
Like I said, I'm looking for something that looks wrong here. Constant. Mongoose require. Mongoose. Blogpost require dot slash models. Blogpost. Mongoose connect. MongoDB. BlogDB. Blogpost dot create. That's totally fine. Body. Blog post. Console error. Blog post. Console. Let me try to come.
Isn't the local host supposed to be 27017?
Ah, you're right. I inverted. See that? My fault. Thank you. Yep, it's the wrong one. So we're not using MongoDB's default port. Boy, I wish I could say, yeah, I did that on purpose to see if anybody was paying attention, but I did it because I screwed it up. All right, so make sure it's 27017. Good catch. And there they are with the JPS. See that? So it did create. Did yours work then?
Yeah.
Did yours work?
Try again.
Did yours work?
Trying
So again, it should look like this.
See, I did something.
So yours works, yours works.
for me.
Did what?
I got errors.
All
I
right.
don't know.
Well, we're going to see if we can figure them out then.
We also pretty lost.
Change that back to create, both of those. Yeah, insert one, there shouldn't be anything wrong with it, which is create all lowercase. Save it, try it again.
So
Right, just like that. Well, you got one of them in there, the other one failed. I don't know what's wrong with the other one, so let's look at the other one. One went in there.
so this one failed.
Looks like it. That shouldn't matter. Create. You probably just copied it anyway, right?
Yeah, copy pasted.
I would put a semicolon there on the end. Comment out this whole create, not all of them, just the first one. So comment it out. Save it and try to run it again. See if it puts that second record back in there. All right, now do that still says message, blog post validation failed. See, it's got your value as being undefined. Go back in if you would. Let's see.
In my model.
And go back in your model again if you would for just a second. You don't even need all that. You can just put in there, for now, you can put in type string and get rid of everything else. You don't even need the curly.
Are you in?
You can put it all on the same line. And then do the same thing with body.
Is this supposed to be seen?
Your string,
Okay,
Is
what
it-
is his,
it is uppercase,
so,
isn't it? Yeah.
for the blog post you mentioned today, is the
Yeah,
B
you don't need type.
capital? Because that is lowercase.
Are those both uppercase S's?
Yeah, but
Alright.
I'm not sure how you do it, I don't think.
No,
You can get rid of that blank line, although it shouldn't be hurting anything.
Well, yeah,
You
but
put a
everything.
semicolon at the end
I
there.
don't know.
Okay.
Blog post schema,
Here, we'll
blog
see.
post schema,
It's
blog
I
post.
think you're right. I think that's what I did wrong.
That's equals blog post.
Thing.
And you put a semicolon at the end of that. Save it and try it again.
Okay, so I'm blog post schema.
Look at there, now, do it now,
Thank you.
do your control C again. If you don't run it, but type in, go to your Mongo window, right there, and do the same thing. So type in show DBs. There it is. So type in use blog DB, and type in show collections, and type in db dot log db dot find paren. Okay, that's okay. I don't know why that wouldn't happen. Unless I gave you the wrong command. I thought that was it. So let's look. db.blogpost.find, is that what you put in? But post with a, did you capital or pluralize it?
No, I just typed in wrong thing.
Try typing in this right here and see if you get your records.
It worked.
Okay. Did yours work?
Mine's still not very
So your three work. Okay.
Well, show me body, not the title.
I don't know what you typed in there, so.
Well, just where yours shows title and body, and then V, mine just shows body and then V.
Well, probably because we went in and you made that, we did get required, and then we took it off, probably. That could be hosing it up, I'm not sure. Now, you made your test.js file, and you made that right underneath the blog folder, right? You didn't put it into any other folder or anything.
right now.
Okay.
It's under the main app.
Why would you be getting that?
I don't know. Oops.
No, no period, just no test.js. Not
Oh,
node period.
Okay.
No,
Okay. No.
node space, test.js.
Okay. That's probably. Okay, so it has it there. Let me see.
Okay, here's it there.
I don't know.
All right. I think we're basically all there. All right. I'm not all there, but all right. So, going back and looking at this, what are we doing right here? Kind of what you think we'd be doing. And thank you, Christopher, for pointing out that I had the wrong port number in there. I do appreciate it. All right. So these are attempting to insert two records. You can see we've got two things that are in there. As of right now, and I had Gabriel change his because we're going to look at this later, but as of right now, for our models.js, in our models folder rather, and our blog post.js, we're not putting anything in there as far as validation. We're doing nothing. All right? What we hope to do by the end of the period today or first thing tomorrow, depending on timing, is we want to go in and we want to be able to include an image with this. And you don't have to put this in, but later we're going to put in something that's going to look like this. I'm not going to even save this, but we're just going to say image string. All right? But the way that we'll do this, we'll try to run it and we won't put an image in. In other words, we won't put in a title, we won't put in a body, we won't put in an image, and it'll blow up. But as of right now, with what we've got in here, technically, we should be able to come in and do an insert. I'm not going to do this. I don't even want to see if it works. But what I'm saying is technically, we should be able to come in here and, where is it? And do something like this. Again, I don't know why you do this. But we should be able to go in and leave this blank. And leave this blank. Just because neither field is required. You wouldn't want to do that. Eventually what we're going to get to in here is not only will they be required, but we'll write our own middleware function that will check that. And if for some reason, we're going to do it in stages. If you try to put in a new post and there's nothing in there, it'll just redirect you to the page where you can put in a post. See what I'm saying? Then we'll go back and we will actually add error handling. In other words, we'll show an error message. We're not going to do that probably till the end of this week or the beginning of next week. All right? Okay, so you can take this stuff here and comment all of it out. All right? So that's the create. That's the C in CRUD. All right? All right. If we do this, what you just saw when we ran this was you basically saw everything come back. All right? We did a create, but let's do a read. And we'll do a read multiple times in here. The first time we do a read, we're going to just ask for everything. Does that make sense? So we're going to come in here and type in blog post dot find, and this is our criteria. So we're putting an open and closing curly brace, which means we don't have any stinking criteria. All right? So in there, and then our request and our, no, not request response, our error and our blog post. All right, same kind of thing we did before, and we'll do that with an arrow function. Oh boy. All right. All right. Come on. There we go. All right. And all we'll do with this is a console.log of ERR and a blog post. All right? That should give us back everything in our console. I don't see why that wouldn't work. It looks totally fine. Let's save it, go back to here, and run it again. And there's our records. So you notice I've got all my junky old records that I had in here before. Notice I already did an update, etc. And that's all stuff we're going to do. But the last two that are in here are the two that I just put in. And not only that, I guess I didn't comment it out because it's put it in twice. All right? But look at this. Do you see how what we're getting back says null, and then it's got this? Null is the error. There is no error. Since there is no error, it's setting it to null. So that's one thing eventually we're going to be able to check. And if we're expecting a value in something and instead it returns null, there's a problem. Does that make sense? All right. So, like I said, right now there's nothing wrong with this. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna copy it, and then I'm gonna just comment it out. And I'm gonna come down here and I'm only doing this so we've got multiple copies, so we can see different stuff that's gonna happen in here. Now, you may or may not remember this back from the days when we were talking JavaScript, and back in the days in JavaScript when we were talking about regular expressions. Again, you may or may not remember that. But what we want to put in here right now is a regular expression. So what we want to do is now we want criteria in here. So we're going to say title, and we put it like this, like that. And again, what that is saying is if you've got any title with the word second in it, I want you to display that. Does that make sense? Now, if we did not have a title with the word second in it, as long as we wrote this syntactically correct, we wouldn't get an error. We'd get bracket, bracket, meaning there's an empty array, meaning there's nothing that meets our criteria. All right, so I'm going to save this, come back to here, Control and clear it again, and then run this again. And you notice, well, it didn't like what I did. So let's see. It gave me back everything. Maybe I didn't save. I don't know. I thought I did. Title, second. I'm making sure I'm giving you the right syntax, and that is the right syntax. So let me do a file save all, in fact. All right, let me try it again. Second, no, it's still giving me everything. Boy, oh boy. So that's got second, that's got second, that's got second. For some reason, it gave me back that one. I don't know why. Like I said, everything, when I ran this morning, I ran it twice. Everything worked great. Did you try it on yours? Did it only return one record for you? The one with second in it. That's good. I'd rather have mine be totally hosed and have yours work. Now,
Didn't get anything. I just got a bunch of errors.
well, a couple things. And I'm not saying you did this, but a couple things. First of all, if I change this, you don't have to do it. But if I change this to a little s, see that? If I do that and save it and run it again, all right? I don't know, again, why it's giving me that one, but it's not giving me anything because this is case sensitive. Plus, if you spell something incorrectly, so I'll put that S back in there, but I'll put an S on the end here. So it says seconds instead of second. And again, I'll save this, go back to here, and again, it's not showing it to me. All right? So again, just so you know, this is the wildcard character. If you remember back from the day when we were doing MySQL and we used that %, which meant 0 or more characters, in Mongo here, that's what the / means. So it's 0 or more characters. Well, technically it's an exact match, but we're looking for the word second with a capital S and everything else lowercase. All right? And you said yours still didn't work?
No, let me. No, didn't work.
the colors don't show on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Do you have error period or do you have error comma blog post? That should be a comma right there.
Oh, this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Alright, there we go.
Now, you probably have already figured this out, but just so you know, so I'm going to grab this one. Again, I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, and then again, I'm going to comment it out. And down below it, I'm going to copy it in again, but just so you know, we could also test the body. And in my body, I did have the word second in lowercase. All right, so I'm going to save this and see if it, again, finds the same one. But now it's checking the body as opposed, in fact, I'll put in here first. Just so I can see if I can get different output. All right. First. I got a lot of them in here. All right. First. All right. So it appears as though everything that we've done in there is working. All right. All right. Now, you've all got output like this, correct? You've all got a different ID than I do. I think you'd all agree with that. Grab any of the IDs you want. I'm going to grab the last one that I've got in here. It doesn't matter which one you pick, but look on the screen. Highlight everything. You don't need the paren, but you can highlight the double quote even if you want. So highlight all of that. Copy it to the clipboard. All right. And then come back into here. All right. And we're about to do some work on individual records, but first let's say const ID equal, and then put that in. Again, your value will of course be different than mine, okay? All right, so I'm going to comment this out. I don't want this anymore. For everything we're going to do about 3 or 4 of these. And when we start commenting stuff out, don't comment this out. We're going to keep using that ID because we only want to bring up that particular record. Does that make sense? All right, so let's start by this. So let's do a log post dot find by ID, and notice the capitalization. The B in by and the I in ID are capitalized. Everything else is lowercase. All right, so ID, error, blog post, and again, we will just console.log it. So what we're saying in here is this is our ID. We want you to find by ID, which means we have to pass it in an ID. So this right here, this ID that you see right there is this. So it should only be printing out the information for that particular ID. So I'm going to save, I'm going to go back, clear this, and run it again. And like I said, for some reason it keeps showing this one record. I don't know why, but it is. But the second one, the one I put in, is got ADA, and that's this one here. So it is in there. Hopefully you only got one when you did yours. All right? All right, so what have we done? We've done the create, we've done the read all, and we've done the read one, correct? So what's left? Update and delete, right? All right, then let's go and do those. All right. So, believe it or not, again, I'm just, for consistency's sake, I'm leaving them all in here, so if you need them for whatever reason, you've got them, but I'm going to just copy this. Should have copied it before I commented it out, but that's okay. Try this again. Come on, get out of there. All right. Well, guess what? Not only is there a find by ID, but there's a find by ID and update. So we're adding the and update onto here. Now, when we do this, all right, after the ID that's right here, well, now we want to add something else, and we want to add something else in here before this. So this is going to go down on another line. And I'm going to actually put this all by itself. In other words, I can come in here if I want to. I can put the curly here, all right, and then a next one, a new one will go on a new line, and that's fine. Don't worry, these errors, they'll go away, all right? But so what do we want to change? Well, just so you can see that stuff has been changed, we'll come in first and we'll do the title. And I'm going to say, my new updated title. Oops. All right, and the other thing is the body, and my new updated body. All right, so what is it still complaining about here? Okay, that should be together. ID that. I think that needs a comma at the end. Oh, I thought it did. It does need a comma at the end. There you go. That all went away. So that's correct. You can put this all on one line. You can put it on multiple lines. You can put the curly brace up here, etc. That means nothing. That's all syntactic sugar, so to speak. So you can put it anywhere you want to put it. Now this is saying, using the ID that we just passed in right here, all right, find by that ID and update. So right now, when you look at mine, this is right here. Mine says JPS title of my first blog post, JPS body of my first blog post. They should both change to my new updated title and my new updated body, if everything worked. So I'm going to do a file save all here, and I'm going to go back and run it again. And see, it didn't work. For some goofy reason, and I'm not sure why, I tried checking, but you got to run it twice. I don't know why. So I'm going to do a Control C, and I'm going to run it again. And the second time, it worked just fine. I don't know why that is. All right, and I'll try to look into it if I think about it and see if I can tell you why it is, okay? Now, there it is, my new updated title, my new updated body, and that's the right record. Again, why it keeps printing this record, I don't know. It's something goofy I put in that record. All right? But you can see that the update worked. All right? Okay. Well, we can keep picking on this record that's in here. That's fine. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come in here. Now, I want to delete it, so I don't have to give it any information really except the ID. Does that make sense? I don't have to give it a title and a body. I don't have to give it any of that stuff. So I can do this, and I should be able to come in and say, find by ID and delete. Okay, do you see the pattern? Does it make sense? All right. And again, I'm not just saying this. I have been a programmer where I've worked with people who know databases but don't know a lick about programming. I've worked with programmers who don't know a lick about databases. So the advantage you have over both of those types of people is you know both. So you can tell, you can program for what's happening on the back end, all right, and you can actually do it either using the database itself or using programming, all right. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to run it again. And, well, it doesn't show much of anything. Now, how do I know if it's gone? Well, remember that the one that we're looking at in here is, it ends with 51 ADA. That's the one mine ends with, okay? Yours, of course, will be different. But if I come back in here again, and I do my db.blogpost.find, post or posts. Okay. Don't know why it doesn't like that.
Blog posts, plural.
Yeah. db.blogposts.find. All right. Oh, because I'm running it in here. I should be running it inside of the Mongo shell. db.blogposts. I think it's post.find. All right, we'll try it with an S. There, you were right. But if I look in here, that one is gone. Again, I've got a lot of junk because I've ran it a bunch of times this morning trying to do stuff. But it was the one that said updated both on both of them. And you notice when you look in here, it's gone. All right? So, again, we've gone through the entire CRUD progression. Does that make sense to everyone? All right? All right.
The reason it kept putting in that same object is you never counted it out, popular text.
Oh, thank you. You're probably, yeah, I'm sure you're correct. All right. Okay. So it's time that we come in here for now with this. All right, I'm just going to do a CLS on here, and we won't need this, I don't think, for the rest of the period. Keep it on. Don't turn it off because we need to have the database system up and running. But now we're going to go back to here, and I'm going to clear this, and in just a minute we will be able to start running our npm run dev again. All right, but I wanted to show you that separately. I figured if nothing else, we're not going to screw anything up. Because even if somehow things had gotten hosed right there, it wouldn't screw it up. We haven't put it into the database for real yet. All right? So, all right. So let's come in, and if you look right now, if you remember this from yesterday, so I'm going to do my npm run dev. You don't have to do this. All right? I shouldn't get an error, and it's running on 8888. I might get an error because I got the thing before saying that it was already in use, so I had to change it, but let's see if this works or not. All right. All right, so there it is. Now, so what do we have in here right now? We've got our home page. And when you look on here, what this is, what we want to have happen in here is the following. When you come to the home page, we want a listing of all of the blogs that have been put in. That makes sense, right? All right. Well, what's missing right now? Well, let's also look. If I click on a blog, nothing happens. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to be able to put our own blogs in here. All right? And this will be our title, this will be our text, and if we click on the title, we want just that blog to come up. Does that make sense? All right. But when we bring up the home page, we want all of our blogs to show. Now, we don't have a user table yet. We haven't made or a user collection. We haven't made that. So when it says process by, it's going to say start Bootstrap. It's not going to have our name or whatever we registered as. We'll do that tomorrow or Thursday. And also, later we'll add a username in here, and we'll add a date posted in here. Does that make sense? So they will be up to date. All right? But right now, with what we've got in here, well, that's our home page. We've got our about page that would probably have information about the company, etc. We've got a sample post. All right? Okay. and we've got a contact page. All right? Well, the good news is, when we go in to put in a post, we're going to need a form. Would you agree we already have one? So we're going to end up copying this form. We're going to copy this file over, and we'll keep the name, but we'll change the name to title, and we'll keep the message that's down here, but we'll change that to body. That makes sense? And then we'll get rid of the email, and we'll get rid of the phone number, because we won't need them. All right? In fact, we won't need them ever, because when you put stuff into this blog, there won't be an email address, there won't be a phone number. Now, when you think about it, it may be possible that if you were actually making this and making it a, quote, real blog site, unquote, that you might want to, they might have to put in an email. But people can still spoof, or they can put in, bogus emails or whatever. So we're not going to worry about any of that stuff. All right. So I'm coming back into here, okay? And like I said, I'm going to do a file, save on this, and I can close this test.js. We won't need this anymore. If you're happy and you're thinking, I understand everything it's doing, then you can even get rid of it. That's totally your call. But I left all that stuff in there, and again, as you can see, I kept commenting stuff out, all right? And you're right, I didn't comment out this one. That's why I kept making them. All right, so that one should have been commented out as well, and I didn't do it. So there. And, again, so we've got that. If you ever need to go back and take a look, if something isn't working, you need a template or whatever, you've got that. All right, so we're going to come in here, and we want to be able to create a new view that's going to allow us to create a new post. Does that make sense? Well, when you look in here, this should make sense to everybody. When we look at our stuff in here, well, that's going to be a view. And right now we've got these 4 views, right? We've got about, we've got contact, we've got index, and we've got post. Now, we could just take the post one and make it into a create post, but we're going to leave that one there, at least for now. We're going to probably eventually get rid of it. All right? But for now, we'll just leave it there. But what we want to do is in views right here, we want to right mouse click and choose new file, and we might as well just call this create.ejs. Again, it'll be an embedded JavaScript file. It'll be in there with the rest of our files, all right, and it's going to be allowing us to create a post. Is there anything about that that doesn't make sense to anyone? All right, so to try to make this simpler for ourselves, again, I'm going to open up the contact.ejs. All right, I'm just going to copy the whole thing. So I'm going to do a Control-A, whoops, not there. Control-A, Control-C to copy, and then close my contact, and just paste that thing into here. So now I've got the same thing in there twice. They're exactly the same right now. Well, I'm going to start changing them. So I'm going to change this here to, from contact me, I'll have it say, create new post. So that's the first thing. All right. Now, as of right now, it won't do anything, and it won't do anything for 2 reasons, and you should actually now know both of them. Number 1 is it's not on our menu, correct? And number 2, even if it was on our menu, we don't have a route for it yet. All right? So I'm just going to save this the way it is right now. Just save it. We'll go back and we'll change it, but we're going to take a break in a couple minutes. So before we do, let's go into our server.js file, and let's add a route for this. All right? So I'm just going to go down to the bottom here, and this will be an app.get, and I'll call it posts new. All right, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter that much. So all right, so again, this is going to be that route. Now, when we actually want to submit the post, it'll be an app.post, not an app.get. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Okay. And all we want to do is say res.render what we just made, and that's create. Now, whoops, I got to spell create right. I'm going to have you put something in right now that we're not going to use for a couple days. It's just a line of code. It won't, bless you, it shouldn't hurt anything, but we'll get into it in a bit, okay? But I'm gonna type in here, create post, and I'm gonna set that to true. And again, don't worry for right now, don't worry a lick about what that means. It's grayed out, meaning it's not being used by anything, and guess what? That's a good thing. All right? Now, we're going to do one more thing, and then we're going to take a break, and we'll fix this afterwards. But what I want to do now is I'll do a file save on here. All right? Now we've got to go into our, where are we? Create, where is it? Into our layouts, we've got to go into our nav bar. Isn't our nav bar where we're showing everything? All right? So it doesn't matter where we put it. Let's just put the new stuff at the end. So I'm going to copy everything in there for contact, those 3 lines right there. I'm going to copy them. All right? And I did that, but it did. And I want to change this. Okay? The first thing I want this to do is I want this to just say, I'll have it say new post. All right? And I want this not to go here, but I want it to go to /posts/new. This is what I added right here into the navbar.ejs file. I copied the previous one down and changed both the verbiage that's up there and where we're going. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. So I'm going to save this. In fact, always check, okay. And now I'm going to come back to here. Notice it says that it's restarting due to changes. I don't know why, but lately NodeMon has really been taking its sweet time. I'm going to wait till that comes back up. Well, I'm not sure if it'll come up now or not, but we'll find out. How's that? So I'm going to refresh. There's my new post. All right, and if I click it, all right, it's coming back, cannot get to /post/new. Well, we made that one post. I think we made the other one posts too, but we'll find out. Let's look at the route. /post/new, res.render create, should be working, app.get post/new, res, render create post, true, yeah, that's all groovy. So file save, go back to here, class nav item, nav link, ref equals /post/new, new post. All right. Not sure why, because that should be running. And I'm wondering if it's not running. No, that is up and running now. So let's double check. There. Okay. Now it's running. It doesn't look right though, does it? We're going to fix that after the break. It's literally going to involve putting a slash in a few files, and then it'll work. All right, it is 1:06. Let's come back, please, at 1:20.